Marvel's already done that with a lot of other characters too. There's a quick montage of Sue Storm continuing her voiceover, saying whatever life throws at us, we'll face it as a family. This seems like just her voiceover from later in the movie when they're trying to figure out how to deal with Galactus, but they don't know how. Like, they don't think there's going to be a way that they can solve it. Because there's some separate footage of Reed Richards who also says there isn't enough time. And I think the whole idea is that he runs all these different calculations, and even though he's the smartest man alive, he gets to that point in the movie where it's very time runs out kind of scenario, saying that everything dies. Like, he comes to the realization that there is nothing they can do to actually stop Galactus. So what do they do then if they know they can't stop Galactus? Like, how do they solve things? Do they sacrifice themselves, and that's how they wind up in the MCU? Like, in the process of trying to save themselves to stop Galactus, do they accidentally travel to the MCU? Or does he purposefully take them to the MCU across dimensions to try and save them as sort of a life raft situation? When we actually get the first look at Franklin Richards, it looks like they're still inside the Baxter building. She's already given birth, so based on that Mexico CCXP clip where Silver Surfer comes and tries to rip her out of Sue Storm's womb, I think that confirms that she gives birth to Franklin Richards while they're in space on their spaceship, corresponding to this footage here where you see her powers going on the fritz and Reed Richards is cradling over her, but she seemingly vanishes, like her powers start going out of control. The way the clip goes, the Fantastic Four are inside their ship, and Sue starts to go into labor, but the Silver Surfer is chasing them. Ben takes over the ship, because remember, he's their pilot, even though he turns into rock form. You also see he's the one to drive the Fantastic car, because he is their pilot. Ben takes over their spaceship and tries to start dodging Silver Surfer. They jump into a kind of hyperspace, so apparently they spent extra time polishing the special effects, which I think bodes well. We see Reed Richards stretching using his powers. The Silver Surfer almost reaches Sue's belly. She wants the baby. Johnny takes over the ship's cannons and tries to shoot the Silver Surfer, so they do have defenses on their spaceship.
Is this guy good?
Johnny makes jokes about Silver Surfer being sexy. Sue then continues to have contractions, and Reed tells Ben to go into a black hole. Ben gets worried. Reed tells Ben to trust him, and that's the end of the scene. My guess is they go into that black hole, and that's when Franklin Richards is born. So the reason why he has so much power in the comics, they might add the black hole twist on top of this inside the MCU. But the idea in the comics is that Franklin Richards, while he's inside Sue Storm's womb, starts to siphon off the cosmic rays that gave the Fantastic Four their powers originally in the comics. So inadvertently, Franklin Richards begins to take in all the different power that gave the Fantastic Four their powers. Reed Richards then steals the cosmic control rod that was originally wielded by Annihilus in the negative zone, and that's used to control the power of an entire universe, which Annihilus used in the negative zone to completely take over that universe. Reed Richards then uses the cosmic control rod to try and stabilize Franklin Richards to try and save his life, and Franklin Richards winds up absorbing part of the power of the cosmic control rod, which explains why he's such a powerful reality warper. We will see how powerful they make him in the MCU. I expect them to just adjust his power levels a little bit so that everybody's a little bit more balanced, but he's on the level of, say, like Scarlet Witch inside the Hex, like pure god level power, very fine level of control over all aspects of reality. So you have to imagine if Scarlet Witch were able to, say, like put a hex over the entire universe, that's how powerful Franklin Richards is, at least in the comics. When it comes to Avengers Doomsday, think about it this way. They say that takes place 14 months after the end of the Thunderbolts movie, so my assumption is that Franklin Richards, when the Fantastic Four show up in that post-credit scene, like a little bit of time has gone by, but he's still very tiny baby during that. Not that much time has gone by since the end of the Fantastic Four movie. And the way they explain that Thunderbolts post-credit scene is that's meant to be the very beginning of Avengers Doomsday. So my assumption is that for most of the Fantastic Four movie, Franklin Richards will be very tiny baby, maybe like a little bit bigger by the time Avengers Secret Wars happens. There have been a lot of reports, too, about there being a screening with them actually showing the post-credit scene to people, and Robert Downey Jr.'s Dr. Doom showing up in that post-credit scene and have something to do with Dr. Doom wanting Franklin Richards. A lot of the descriptions of the scene actually read a little bit like the end of the Incredibles movie when Syndrome tries to steal Jack. So that's why I think it might not actually be true. Like, why would they rip off the Incredibles movie, which also people make references to as being one of the best Fantastic Four movies so far? So do not be surprised if it's a completely different post-credit scene with Robert Downey Jr.'s Dr. Doom, which often is the case.